good. And yourself?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing great, great, great. I got worried earlier today because you can't say certain things on this thing, and and they had snatched the page, and I told my oldest daughter, I said, "Can you reach out to her and tell her I don't have a page?" But then it all worked out because God is not having any of that foolishness. God is not
That's
having
right.
any of that the disruption or the distractions and trying to take us off our square with where
Yes.
we're going with trauma to triumph. So he's not having that. So
Anytime it's something powerful, a powerful woman in the building, he always creates distractions and disrupts
yes,
his greatness. He don't want us to put that greatness in the atmosphere.
that's
So
right. But there's no stopping this because as you can see, we're both here tonight. Thank you
yes.
so much, beautiful. I'd like to start just by allowing you an opportunity to just introduce yourself as who you are today, who you are as a young woman today, and then um, I'll take you back a little bit, and we're going to talk about when trauma set in your life.
Okay. So, hello everyone. I am Ebony Gibson. I am an entrepreneur. I am an overcomer. I am a big sister. I have a little brother and a little sister who I adore. I
Okay.
am a bonus mom. So, like step, but we don't use that word. I see my bonus mom is on here. Um,
Yay.
what else? What else? What else? I am a CEO of Can I Grieve, which is a company I created to inspire, encourage, and educate people to rise above grief. Um, I'm a girlfriend, and I
Yay.
just have a passion for helping people.
Yay. You have always had an amazing, beautiful spirit, always. And I have some really great, fond memories of you as a young woman. As I was explaining before I pulled you into the live, I have known you for quite some time. I don't remember how old you were when I first met you. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't. It may have been middle school, Ebony. I don't remember. But I know I've known you for a long time,
Right.
and I actually believe I had the pleasure. You might have to help my memory, but I think I had the pleasure of actually meeting your mom at some point in time as well. I just remember her. And I don't know how that came to be. If I had went over to your house, or if she had
Mhm.
picked you up from over here, or if it was at school. But I do remember her. And,
Probably. I had one of those moms where if you wanted to go over to somebody's house, if she ain't talked to your parent, you wasn't going. So
that's right. Right. That's
probably.
we shared that in common.
Yeah.
And I didn't tolerate any of that either. If you're going to go anywhere, I
Hmm.
need to know whose house you're going over. I need to know how they live. I need to
Yes.
know
Is it men over there?
who this
Boys.
person.
How many? Yes. And I used to hate it. Like, why do
Yeah.
you always, because some people, parents, they just let their kids go. I'm like, why you always got to do too much? And now I'm
Now,
grateful because she really was protecting me. But
yeah,
I saw it as like,
of course. And your friends, Tia and Tyler, were the same way. They thought I was
hmm.
doing the most, right? But they understand now. Y'all are young women, so
Yeah.
you understand things a whole lot differently now.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about how trauma entered your life, when it entered your life, and then we'll just have a conversation, Ebony, about that process and how you took yourself from that traumatic period of time and blossoming into who you are today, and then you inspire others, and your organization, Can I Grieve, um a lot of people couldn't fathom being able to just, dude, I've said to you many a times, honey, I don't know how you can be so strong, right?
Yeah.
So, go back as far as you want to, and let's talk about it.
Okay. So I am 28 now. When I was 22, 2 days before my 23rd birthday, I actually lost my mom unexpectedly. And it wasn't anything that I knew about, it wasn't anything that I could have prepared for. I've also never lost anyone close to me before, so it was very heartbreaking. I remember the night before. It was Super Bowl. We watched the Super Bowl. I think the Falcons had went to the Super Bowl or something like that. And she cooked me dinner. We watched the game together, and then I went upstairs to practice my makeup because, like I said, my birthday was coming up. It was 2 days later. And so we went to bed that night, and then the next day, I woke up. I was doing an internship at the time, and my mom, she was still home. And so she was a supervisor. And so I just assumed, she was just sleeping in because, when you're a supervisor, you got a little power.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on to my internship and I was applying for jobs because if you know anything about an internship, it's not paid most of the times.
Right.
So I was doing an internship. I was applying for jobs, and I think it was around like maybe 11 a.m. that I realized that we didn't talk. And me and my mom, we talk literally every day, multiple times a day sometimes. And so I didn't really think too much of it because for some reason I was just trying to apply for jobs. And so some people from her job had started to reach out to me and they were saying, hey, we haven't spoke to your mom today. So I'm like, that's
Hmm.
strange. She's a
Right.
supervisor. Even if she's going late or if she's not going, she still has to check in with her staff, make sure they're okay.
Right. So
So
was
I'm
your
like,
first instinct worry? Like, did you instantly get worried, or were you like, it's probably like, what was your first thought?
so my first thought was, that's strange, like a red flag, but not
Mm-hmm.
anything too crazy. So I'm like, okay. So I start to reach out. She's not answering. So I'm like, okay, maybe she's out busy. I don't know. So then I'm like, and mind you, once people start reaching out to me, it's more than one person. So I'm like, okay, I'm only down the street. My internship was down the street. So I'm like, okay, I'm only down the street. I'll go to the house. So this is where it got real interesting. So I get to the house and my mom's car is outside. So
Mm.
I knew she's not ignoring me. Why would she ignore me? We talk every single day.
Right.
So I'm like, now I'm really starting to panic. And I called my uncle. He's like, I'm on my way to, like, I'll meet you over there. So I'm like, okay. So I'm on the phone with my godmother, and I'm like, I don't want to go in the house. Like, you know how you just get that feeling that
That
something's not
feeling.
right. And I'm like, that's not like her to not check in on her staff. That's not like her to not check in on me. And so my godmother's like, Ebony, you have to go in the house. So I go in the house and I go upstairs and I find my mother in her bed. And at that moment, I realized like she was already gone. It was nothing I could do. Um, I called, my godmother told me to call um, the ambulance. And so I called them, or 911, I don't know. So I called them and they were telling me like to, do CPR. And I'm just like, for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell, like, she's not, like, she's in her bed. It's like 11, 12 o'clock. Like, she's not asleep anymore.
So
So,
you knew instantly she wasn't asleep.
yeah, I knew instantly.
You didn't say like, Ma.
No, I walked in the door, and when I seen her laying in the bed, I just started screaming. And that's when my godmother told me to call 911. And so I just knew based off her not answering her phone for me, for the coworkers. I knew from her car being outside and just her, like she was still in her pajamas. It would have been different if like she, was taking a nap, like she changed her clothes, like she was literally like how
Right.
she was the night before.
Right.
And so from there, the ambulance, they came really quick. They had a really good response time, but it was pretty much nothing they could do. They tried to do whatever they could, and by time they got here, my uncle was here. Like everybody was racing over here. My dad, and so yeah, it was very
So
traumatic.
you found her.
Yeah, I did, and that's something that I wouldn't, wish on anybody. And I don't always like, share the story. I just go like leave out the details. But, you know, at the end of the day, somebody had to do it. And I guess that's just the position that God allowed me to be in, you know? And I'm thankful, that my family was rushing over here, so I wasn't, by myself. And she was here for like some hours because it's a process with the medical examiner and all that. They did not take her body to do an autopsy, and I was okay with that because in my eyes, she died in her sleep. Whether it was a heart attack, whatever, I'm like,
Right.
that's the way I want to go. So the fact that she was comfortable at home, I find peace in that. I think if it was something else, I don't know if I would have found peace in that. So that's what kind of gives me the peace. And then just kind of the relationship that we had. There's a lot of people, who don't have a mom or who lost their mom at young ages. And me and my mom, we were really like best friends. So it's like I find peace in the memories that we made and just the bond that we had. Like when I look back, I
Yeah.
don't have like sad memories. I
Right.
remember going shopping. I remember, just all the stuff that she instilled in me.
And she had made dinner for you the night before, right?
Yep.
Was that the night before?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm-mm. I'll never forget when my children told me that, Ebony. I felt I felt so horrible. And I remember telling you, I'll be like another mom anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And I meant that. You have been so strong though, honey. Um, because I just can't imagine. So I will never sit here and say, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. Because honey, I don't. I don't. I just know that God had to be in the mix the entire time with you,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so after that, I'm assuming you had the burden of figuring stuff out after that, right?
Yeah.
You and
So
you had a sibling, an older sibling, or no?
yes, at the time I had an older brother.
Okay,
I think he was out of state, so he didn't come until like, closer to the funeral. But I let my older cousins and aunts kind of deal with that because I just
okay,
wasn't mentally in a place to plan a funeral. Like I
right,
literally was just planning my birthday. Like we was supposed to go to the club. My mom was coming. Like I tell you, we was tight.
right. I
So
know.
I literally went from like planning a birthday party to having to plan a funeral. And the only thing that I did was provided the pictures, and if they needed, who was the nieces, who was the nephews, I provided that information. But other than that, I didn't really want anything to do with the process.
Right.
Um, and the only thing that I really was grateful for was that my mom made sure when she passed away, she had things in place for me, and I know a lot of times people don't never expect to, leave right away, or they tend to want to set a plan up, but they don't get around to it. So I'm just glad that she was able to do that because that took a lot of stress off of me
Yeah.
financially,
Yeah.
where I was able to work with the funeral home when the money hit, they was able to get theirs and it wasn't a burden to me or my family. So
Yeah.
I would just encourage anybody, that no matter how young, how old you are, you have to have something in place, whether it's life insurance, 401, investment, something. So that would be my first tip. Um, and so yeah, once I went through that process, I didn't want to. When we went to the cemetery, I didn't want to put her in the ground. So I got her in a mausoleum. That was just something that I thought was different and special.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really the only part that I played in the funeral part.
And so you do this, you get through the funeral,
Hmm.
and what's your life like after that? Like in the immediate part after losing your mom, what's your life like?
So my family was my everything. Like it was literally like overwhelming. My older cousins, my aunts, my godmother, everybody was just loving on me and let's go out to eat, let's go here. Like I literally had a calendar where it was booked up. Like we going here, we going there. Like I was just so grateful, because I know a lot of people don't always have, that support, but that is part majority, 80% of what pushed me through. And so after that, my grandparents, so I'm half Jamaican, my mom was Jamaican, so my grandparents, they were up here because my mom passed in the house. And if you never like lost anybody before, or me just speaking for myself, I felt very like ghostly, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I want to live in here anymore. Like I don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable, I'm scared. So my grandparents, they stayed with me for about 2 months, and then in June, so it happened in February, they stayed until like April. And then in May, towards the beginning of June, I moved into my own apartment. So that was my first time living by myself. I've lived by myself in college, but I had roommates. So this
Right.
was my
That's
first
different.
time. Yeah, so I moved to Herndon, Virginia. I was working at Dallas Airport at the time. So I was in a pretty nice, apartment. I wanted to be in a luxury space.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And then I came back home about a year later. And
When you say back home, back to the house where you and your
yeah,
mom lived, where y'all,
yeah. So
you did?
I had an experience with renters. Anybody that's ever rented their home before, that can be interesting. So I didn't have good renters. So I was just like, I'm ready to come back home anyway. All my friends was like, you live 45 minutes away. I'm not coming out there. But I was fine with it because I'm like, it's peaceful. I don't have to worry about y'all coming out here. So I did go through grief again. Sometimes with family, when someone passes away, the outcome, that they may have predicted, didn't go in their favor. And so I love my dad. We're super close now. But during that process, we had kind of disconnected. So not only was I dealing with the grief of my mom, I was also dealing with the grief of basically like losing two parents, because me and my dad, we weren't seeing eye to eye. And it wasn't until I ended up having a little sister, that me and him got back on one accord. And so I'm forever grateful. And that's how I know that God is just always in the midst of everything, because I was kind of content with, I'll be an orphan, I'm an adult. But God, produced my sister, brought my sister into this world, and we got back
And
connected.
mended that relationship with your dad.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you did. I'm so
yeah.
glad.
And
Yeah.
so since then, I was, like I said, I was working at the airport. I quit that job, and then I became an entrepreneur. I started in the network marketing industry. And then just based off everything that I learned in that industry and the networking piece of things, I decided to start Can I Grieve during the pandemic. Since losing my mom, her dad has passed away, which was my grandfather. And then I had a first cousin pass away in October of last year. And so
Mm.
that's when I launched the company. And also just the pandemic, seeing people, grieving, losing their job, losing their loved ones to COVID, or just life in general. I really just wanted to put something together, really just to encourage people, create that safe space, but really normalize having these type of conversations, and just creating, like I said, that support system, because everybody doesn't always have the support. So
Right.
that's kind of where I am now.
Wow. I'm so proud of you. And that's why I wanted to have you on here tonight, because you're 28,
Hmm.
and a lot of people, probably most people in your age genre, would not be able to handle coming in the house, finding their mom. The
Yeah.
mom who was fine last night. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Fixed me dinner last night. There's no reason why I would think the next day I'm not going to have her. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And in my 20s, when I think about myself, you were 22, right? When that
I
happened.
was 22, 2 days before my 23rd birthday.
I I don't know that I would have what you had to make it. I mean, you never can say, but I just wanted young and old people to hear from you. You are a pillar of strength, and I admire you so much. I'm 52, so I'm old enough, obviously, to be your mom.
Right.
But I admire and I look up to someone with the strength that you have had to have. And I just wanted that type of energy to just spread, because there are people who are still dealing with grief.
Yeah.
who have not been able to handle it as well as your 22-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to just commend you, Ebony, for allowing God to be the ruler of your life, because that's the only way I believe that you would have been able to make it the way,
Right.
in which you did. And for not allowing the enemy to take your mind, take your spirit. You didn't allow that. God wasn't having that because he had another purpose. He had a bigger plan for you and for your life. And I don't know, we don't always know the answers all the time. I'm sure you may have wondered, like, I know that there was a reason for this, God. Why? I don't know if you've ever gotten that answer.
Yes, so it's interesting because I did a Facebook Live. I started doing grief prayers on Tuesdays on Facebook. So today was my first day doing it, and the chapter or the scripture was Psalms 34, verse 18 and 19. And in verse 18, it talks about how God is near to the brokenhearted. And so a lot of times, and I know I don't just speak for myself because I've talked to other people, a lot of times when people experience grief, they tend to get mad with God. And I was one of those people as well. I didn't understand, how could you take someone that was so close to me? I had never lost a cousin, sister, nobody, close to me before. So I didn't understand it. I was mad at him. And, in our culture, we're taught not to question God, trust the process,
Yep.
believe, all of that stuff. And honestly, I was done with him. I cut the cord. Like, I didn't pray. I didn't want to talk to him. And the crazy thing is, like I said, God is near to the brokenhearted. So even when I couldn't pray for myself, people prayed for me. Even when I felt like he wasn't close to me, he wasn't around, or he let me
He,
down, he was there the whole
he
time.
did not leave
Still there.
you. Yep.
It's still here, and so it's definitely not me. When people ask me, how are you so strong? How are you doing? I would be remiss to say, oh, I just wake up every day. And no, it's God. It's been God the whole time, so that's just another tip for somebody. It's okay to be mad at God, but understand, like you said, God has a plan for your life, and everything that we experience here on earth, he experienced the cross. So he grieved too. He experienced everything that we experienced. So he wants you to talk to him. He wants you to let him know you really pissed me off, or I'm really upset. Like, that's what he wants. That's that intimacy. And I didn't always have that. And so one thing that I am forever grateful for, I hate that he had to take my mom, but me and his relationship has gotten like this. It's never been where it is right now. And sometimes God throws things in your way, and it might be losing something, it might be losing someone, but he has a plan. And God is very selfish. He wants us to himself,
Yes.
all of our attention. And so, like I said, unfortunately, he took the closest person to me. But since then, I've gained a relationship with him like never before.
Yes. And
So
what's
if I
better
would,
than that?
yeah. He's given
Oh,
me the clarity and the peace and the hope. And he's also let me know that people on earth, our loved ones, our friends, our family, they are gifts. They are not ours. We don't own them. Tierra, Tyler, they're your daughters, but they're his daughters too. He has the final say so. They're your daughters, but he gets first choice. So
right.
that's something that I had to learn too. And it didn't all come overnight. It's a process. I learn about grief every day. I went to an event yesterday. I learned about ambiguous grief. I'm like, what in the world? How am I in a grief? I didn't even know that. And I learned that grief accumulates. It grows.
Mm,
So I just want to
wow.
share that.
Wow. So how would someone be able to get involved with Can I Grieve? Give people, the 411 on how they can recommend people to Can I Grieve, or how they can get involved to help you grow your organization.
Absolutely. So you can follow me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Can I Grieve. I also have a website. It's canigrieve.org. It will be getting fixed in a few, but it looks good right now. Right now, I only have products such as clothing, you guys can see kind of,
Yeah.
as well as care packages that people can purchase, thinking of you, sorry for your loss, stuff like that. But I'm excited to announce, I've never said it before, so you get the exclusive. I will be
Ooh.
launching in February my first round of grief coaching one-on-one sessions and group sessions at
Yay.
Kent University.
Yay.
I didn't know anybody that is grieving. If you know anybody that needs tips, advice, right now, I'm new into the space of grief coaching, but with my experience and what I know and my certification that's on the way, I'm pretty sure I can help some people. Um,
Yeah,
and so, yes, that's how they can get in contact, refer, reach out. And because I'm new in this space, the price is negotiable.
that's
But
right.
don't wait until next year because next year's price is not today's
It's
price.
not today's price,
Yeah.
baby. That's right. So, where do you see yourself and Can I Grieve, let's say this time next year? Where do you see things if we were to sit down with each other 1 year from today?
Oh man. I see Can I Grieve in different states. I see Can I Grieve internationally.
Yeah.
Can I Grieve speaking, doing different workshops. Right now I just do like different YouTubes, kind of similar to like what you do, invite people to, share that story, create that safe space. But I want to have counselors and other grief coaches and a part of my organization. So I want to like have a team of grief coaches and grief counselors, like a firm. Um,
Yes. We
so
have just claimed it, okay?
yes,
That's what it's going to be.
yes.
Period.
And I
Period.
see myself on a spiritual level as well, outside of Can I Grieve. So I'm just excited.
Growing spiritually. I love that. Oh my
Yes.
God. I love it. I'm so proud.
Clarity, so much clarity and peace when you just surrender and when you just understand you're not going to have all the answers. So why not turn to the person that has the answers? So that's
Yeah.
just where I am.
Does anyone on here, before we wrap things up, does anyone on here have any questions for Ebony? Let me scroll up. Let me scroll up and see if we missed anything. Thank y'all so much for being a part of tonight's
Yes, thank you, guys.
Trauma to Triumph episode. And I'm just trying to see if there's any questions from anybody.
Where am I located? I'm virtual right now. Um, but in the future, hopefully we'll have, or not hopefully, we will have a community center.
Yes, we claiming it, sending you hugs. Does someone experience the same thing as you did with their father back in 1987?
Wow.
This gave me, let's see, that gave me closure to be next to him. Blessings. Okay. I love this. So, see, you served as a blessing tonight, Ebony, to others. And that's the reason why I do this Trauma to Triumph, because just if just one person is impacted in a positive way by what we say and what you've said and what you've shared openly, it's worth it to me. It's
Yeah.
all worth it, you know? Um, I'm so proud of your strength. Someone said, I'm blessed to have that as well. Let's see, affairs. Yes, get your affairs in order, y'all. KC World, Ebony says they have a packet to share with you for your followers. So y'all may want to DM each other after this is over.
Okay.
And yeah, everything else is just very encouraging, powerful message. Um, you have a huge spirit. Yes, you do. That's from my honey. So
Yeah.
listen, baby, I want to just say I'm very, very appreciative of you jumping on here with me tonight. I've enjoyed talking to you. My sentiments when it happened with your mom at 22 years old is still what it is today. I'm still a mom, and if there's ever a moment where you need a mom for whatever to step in, please take me up on my offer.
Yes. I appreciate you
I will
so.
always, fill in the gap whenever I can as a mom,
Yeah.
for my loved ones. And And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you also. She has amazing merchandise, you all. Can I Grieve? And I happen to have had two very dear friends of mine who lost their moms. And so they love the hoodies.
Aw.
Love, love, love them. So I wanted you to know that. Ebony's wearing one now, but she has these amazing hoodies, y'all. They're thick, they're very great quality. I got a yellow one and the color that you have one that I got for my two friends. And if you all are interested in getting yourselves a Can I Grieve hoodie, you can go to her website. And Ebony, say that what it is one more time before we wrap up.
canigrieve.org, or you can DM me.
Okay, canigrieve.org, or you can DM her on Instagram, and that's at Can I Grieve. So
That's
I
right.
want to thank you all again for being a part of the weekly Trauma to Triumph. If you yourself or you know someone who has a story to share about how they overcame life trauma, and trauma comes in different types of ways, you also just keep that in mind and don't minimize someone else's traumatic life experience because, maybe you feel like, oh, that wasn't that heavy. You just never can understand what another person goes through and what they consider to be traumatic for them and in their lives. Also, triumph on the other end is not always what you think. Some people think, oh, well, I'm not. I had a young lady who wanted to be a part of Trauma to Triumph, but she said, I'm not wealthy yet. I'm not doing well financially. And I said, honey, based on what you told me, all of the stuff you've been through in your life, the fact that you can even get on Instagram is triumph. Okay. So it can mean something different depending on the situation. So if you know someone or you yourself have gone through trauma and you would like to be a part of the Trauma to Triumph project, I like to call it the T2T project. Go to my website. It's www.trauma, the number two, triumph, doc.com. Trauma2Triumph, doc.com. You can make donations right on the website if you all want. I also would love to get your feedback about the website. I'm excited about it. I'm proud of it. So please go on there. Check out some of the ladies that I've actually sat down in a film studio, and we've done what Ebony and I are doing tonight, but we've actually sat in a film studio and really dived in. Like, we really go deep when we go inside filming. I'd love to get some more filming done. I'm hoping, I'm targeting in my heart, and I'm putting it in the universe that we will be able to film more in January. I'm just going to claim it right now. We
And
are going to film some more amazing stories in the studio, some studio, I don't know where, in January. And what else? Did I tell y'all everything? I told you the website. Mark your calendars for March the 4th. March the 4th is going to be my very first Trauma to Triumph brunch.
yeah.
And it's going to be amazing. Only 100 tickets will be available. So when I start the pre-sale in about 2 weeks, y'all pay attention because I've only got 100. But I do have 6 vendor tables. So if you are a business and you want to be in front of 100 amazing people, plus the panelists that we're going to have there, I'm going to have Soleil there. I don't know. For those of you all who don't know who Soleil is, she's from the entertainment industry from way back in the day, but she's now healing women across the world. She may be in India right now or going to India soon. With her, she has a holistic yoga program. It's the most amazing thing I mean ever. And she is based out of Atlanta, but she travels everywhere. So she's going to travel for our very first Trauma to Triumph brunch on March the 4th too. I've got some other surprises, so y'all mark your calendars for that. And next week we will be right back again on Instagram Live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with another amazing person sharing another amazing story of how they overcame trauma and are now living triumphantly. Thank y'all so much. Thank you so much, Ebony.
It was a pleasure as always. It's an honor.
Yes, 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 yes. And you all enjoy the rest of this week. Happy early holidays to everybody. I'll be saying that throughout. So I'm not taking a break. Trauma to Triumph every Tuesday. So I'll see y'all later. Thanks again, Ebony, and thank you all for joining. Bye, y'all.
Bye.